distinguished dignitaries, delegates for this international CME program, and ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, let me thank Professor Thakur for inviting me to speak in this sixth international CME on public health approaches to NCDs. And I'm happy that the theme that has been chosen is focusing on systematic reviews and meta-analysis for creating evidence. Professor Thakur has requested me to speak to you on multi-sectoral response for non-communicable diseases. We all understand that non-communicable diseases is a global threat to health and sustainable development. 74% of the global deaths in 2017 were attributed to the NCDs. 78% of NCDs occur in low and middle income countries. Significantly high proportion of LMIC deaths are in the middle age. And it has also its global economic cost that we pay for. It actually translates for 2011 to 2030 as $47 trillion. So the NCDs cause poverty, lost productivity, and high healthcare cost. And we also understand that there's a consistent upward trend in the context of the rise from 28.3 million to 38.8 million of an additional deaths that are likely to happen from 2010 to 2025. And this global scenario is very much reflected in Indian context also. We can see the shift in causes of disease burden in India from 1990 to 2016, that the contribution of non-communicable diseases in 16 years has increased quite significantly. The World Health Organization's Global Action Plan for the NCDs tells us the four important diseases that included initially as CVDs, diabetes, cancer, and COPD, and subsequently included mental health disorders. And this 4x4 has been converted into 5x5 because initially 4 risk factors, tobacco, alcohol consumption, diet, physical inactivity, now also included air pollution. And when I'm talking about all these risk factors is that these are the major behavioral risk factors which are the root causes of non-communicable diseases like tobacco use, both in smoke and smokeless category, then the harmless use of alcohol, and inappropriate diet, physical inactivity, air pollution. But the more important in the context of today's deliberation is that these are behavioral risk factors, but would require interventions from multi-sectors. It's not that only from the health sector that we would be able to deal with these risk factors. NCD shows also the social gradient. As socioeconomic health transitions advance within each country, the social gradient for NCD risk factors and for NCD events progressively reverses till the poor become most vulnerable. And that is very much reflected in this diagrammatic presentation where it deliberates on how poverty can contribute to NCDs, and NCDs too contribute to the poverty. For the limitation of time, I'm not getting into the details, but there are clear pathways that how NCDs and poverty are interrelated and contribute to each other. And this is important to understand because, again, the intervention that would require to deal with the poverty, which is also one of the SDG goals that we need to deal with, includes interventions outside the health sector. But when you deal with and talk about the comprehensive response for non-communicable diseases, generally we talk about strengthening NCD surveillance, then NCD-related health services. We also talk about NCDs in the context of universal health coverage. But one of the critical and important and crucial parameters is also multi-sectoral action for prevention. And it has two levels where it can operate. One is that the health literacy level, where you can talk to the individuals and try to see and ensure that health promotional activities are ensured into, but also related to macro policies, which comes from multiple sectors beyond the health sector too. And it has its own power. These all macro policies from other sectors and how could influence the NCDs, we will deliberate subsequently, but we need to understand the power of these policies. They modify the social and economic determinants of the behaviors and the way that people would eat, smoke, drink, and alcohol. They also would create enabling environment to initiate and maintain behavior change in communities and individuals. They can impact multiple risk factors simultaneously. That's an added value that when we deal with these risk factors. Reduces the population risk in short time, more cost effective, relatively easy to implement, has most importantly an intergenerational benefits, and therefore the macro policies across the sectors are critical and needs to be understood in the context of NCD prevention and control. But when we really engage to understand what is multi-sectoral population level interventions, that we can classify them into, and they are put into the four boxes, but really at the two levels. One are relatively harder, like for example, a regulatory role for government, where you talk about fiscal measures, which includes taxes and subsidies, and regulatory measures, where you talk about laws, rules, and directives. But there are soft measures too, like facilitatory role of the government, where information and communication, like campaigns and labeling, then some structural issues in the context of infrastructure, built environment. And this is important to understand because these mostly lie beyond the health sector, and you need engagement with the multiple sectors. Let me pick up a couple of interventions to talk about, and diet is one of the critical and important for NCDs. And you can see from this graph where India would stand in the context of fruit and vegetable consumption, that's gram per day. Uh, uh, and you can see the other countries, and it actually tells us about the concern that we would have as long as the fruit and vegetable consumption is concerned, which is critical for prevention control of NCDs. If we throw a searchlight on diet and NCD connection, we will have to move from specific nutrients to individual food items to the dietary patterns. And that's what I was talking about, consumption of the fruits and vegetables. So we'll have to move around from specific nutrients to individual food items, dietary patterns, and we need to recognize and realize that the spectrum of science is reductionist in content, but holistic in context. This is a systems perspective which can help us to guide effective policies for agriculture, food, and nutrition. Again, for the paucity of time, I will not get into the details of this, but the policies in the context of from food choices to food supply to food demand and food transformation and retail, creating food environment, agricultural production, they are all interrelated with and have influence. And we really need to contribute to reduction of NCD burden. We will have to really advance our deliberations and discourse and create evidence in the context of these policies which would influence NCDs. For example, ban on foods with high FSS advertising on children's channels or during the children's show is urged. Like, for example, additional tag on highly processed commodities and sugar-sweetened beverages, positive nutritional labeling, then safe and nutritious food at the school. There could be several interventions, probably would require support and engagement of other sectors. Like, for example, when you talk about school, engaging with the education sector is critical and important. When you talk about putting up an additional tax, getting engaged with the finance ministry and revenue ministry requires critical. Positive nutritional labeling would require engagement with the food processing division of agricultural ministry. And therefore, we would require actual engagement with other sectors if we really wanted to advance this particular agenda. And we need to recognize in the context of NCDs, therefore, policies in other sectors are important too. Like, for example, there is a clear evidence, and this is based in some data modeling in Indian context, that if we impose a 20% tax on sugar-sweetened beverages, we will be able to prevent around 11.2 million cases of overweight and obesity and 400,000 cases of diabetes over the next 10 years. Power of policy for chronic disease prevention, another example could be tobacco. There's a clear-cut evidence available from many countries, including LMICs, that with four interventions, for example, taxation, advertisement bans, smoke-free policies, and health warnings are effective. And in fact, it's more close to 50% of the mortality between 1920 to 2000. It's 2 decades of the last century. Last 2 decades of the last century is attributed to reducing smoking. There's enough evidence being generated that the interventions in these sectors will have influence in reduction in mortality and disease burden attributable to non-communicable diseases. And therefore, to continue discussion about the policies in other sectors and how critical they are, that the Sanjay Basu, the researcher at Stanford, had modeled what can be done by the tobacco taxation. And we all know that smoke-free laws and increased taxation of tobacco products are the most effective strategies for reducing heart attacks and strokes. And there is enough evidence created by World Health Organization, World Banks, and several national academic institutions too. But if we implement smoke-free laws and tax every tobacco product appropriately, we would be able to prevent and avoid 25% of the heart attacks and strokes during 2013 to 2022 over a span of 10 years. And this will have more impact than all the drugs that a cardiologist would prescribe. So is the relevance of these policies. Impact of taxation on cigarette sales is an example from France and South Africa. And this is a triple harm double. That's a tripling of cigarette prices, halved consumption, and doubled the inflation adjusted government revenue. So how the taxation policies in the context of tobacco are critical and important is exemplified here. Lower incidence of myocardial infarction after the smoke-free legislations are enforced in Chile is an example, is a wonderful paper being published a few years back. Also emphasizes the relevance and importance of the smoke-free legislations and its contribution in lowering the disease burden because of myocardial infarction. And we also need to recognize that the policy measures that usually, of course, do not cost the government money. Like, for example, taxation on tobacco or advertisement bans or public smoking bans or regulation of processed foods or the food labeling would not cost to the government policy. However, NCD programs will cost. For example, cost can be therefore contained by choosing the cost-effective interventions, integrating different NCD programs, integrating NCD prevention and control into other health programs and development programs remains important and critical. To re-emphasize the need for a multi-sectoral response for NCDs is that not only the roots of the NCDs are in other sectors, that because we have talked about all these risk factors for which you would find the roots in other sectors, but NCDs also have implications on other sectors, for example, an economy and productivity, and I mentioned a couple of figures in that context. And therefore, the resource pooling by other sectors remains important in dealing with non-communicable diseases. And there could be involvement of many sectors and many ministries and many departments for that matter. And it depends the kind of risk factor, like NCD prevention policy would include dealing with tobacco, oral alcohol, nutrition and diet, physical inactivity, or even NCD strategic action plan for that matter. And you could identify several sectors from agriculture to finance and from social and developmental sectors to engaging with NGOs for that matter, to various other stakeholders, including urban planners, private practitioners, media and sports. And so it's a clear-cut demonstration that we need an engagement of the sectors in advancing this particular agenda. I need to conclude with a couple of slides re-emphasizing the importance of research in the context of generating evidence for multi-sectoral interventions. Because the research that would, the evidence that we would create should be evidence-based, and that will help us to provide research engagement would help us to provide the evidence-based, context-specific, resource optimizing, culturally compatible and equity promoting recommendations for policy and practice. And why I'm mentioning this, because the theme of the deliberations today for the CME is on systematic reviews and meta-analysis. A lot of primary research in the context of various interventions from multiple sectors has been carried out. We need to see that how we use the tools and techniques of systematic review and meta-analysis to generate the evidence, synthesize the evidence, and fit into the policies and programs for better dealing the non-communicable diseases. Enlightened policy needs are aided by, for example, if we need to create the scientific credibility and evidence and rational, we'll have to have the biomedical and epidemiological research, financial feasibility, we need to engage into the health economics research, operational stability, health systems research, and political viability. We'll also have to engage with the social science research. And therefore, I would strongly urge the participants of today's CME that look at from the perspective that how these tools and techniques of systematic reviews and meta-analysis could be used in creating evidence, because NCDs require multidisciplinary, multi-sectoral, and multi-layered approaches to deal with the problem. To conclude what Rudolf Virchow has said, should medicine ever fulfill its great ends, it must enter into the larger political and social life of our time. It must indicate the barriers which obstruct the normal completion of the life cycle and remove them. Should this ever come to pass, medicine, whatever it may then will be, the common good for all. Just wanted to say that Rudolf Virchow has highlighted relevance of engaging with other sectors and other issues beyond health sector several decades prior. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and over to organizers. Thank you.